Mr. Smith, a little quiet over there. We're going to start the formal portion. I saw you come in late, so the least you can do, be attentive. Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming. My name is Councillor J.D. Pachariva. I'm the Chair of Planning and Infrastructure, and it's my honor to introduce our mayor today. But before I introduce Mayor Sandra Easton, I'd like to thank our friends at the Chamber of Commerce for hosting today's wonderful event. And the staff at Rockaway Vineyards for your excellent service today in this fantastic venue. And I gotta agree with Jared. I think a follow-up would be a round of golf, at least 9, right? It's fantastic. I would like to also acknowledge all the town staff today in attendance and the hard work that they've done throughout the past year to make our town, the town of Lincoln, the most outstanding community in Niagara. I know they cringe when they see my emails with pictures attached, but you know what? They go above and beyond to smooth out any residents' concerns. They love the town as much as we do, and we are fortunate to have them. They make us look like, and I can't use that term because I don't know if Paul Stanley's lurking around in the background, but you know what I want to say. The town has seen tremendous growth throughout our business community. Our industrial sector is thriving. With the development of our new industrial mall on one of the last available greenfield parcels, which is now home to 8 businesses in our community. The development of our new tourism brand identity, the Niagara Benchlands, has stimulated tourism investment and visitor spreading across many sectors of our economy. Growth has also occurred in our vital agricultural sector with the new state-of-the-art Vineland Growers Co-op facility in Jordan, set to hold its grand opening this summer. These are just a few of the examples of our economic growth and development Lincoln has seen over the past years. Now, if each one of you opens your Niagara Benchland satchel that's on your table or on your chair, if you haven't already, in each of the bags, or satchels, like I like to say, you'll find hot off the press our 2023 Annual Business Review, which showcases activities conducted by our economic development team, as well as exciting business success stories and detailed investments that the town facilitated throughout 2022. As Chair of Planning and Economic Development, I would like to encourage everyone to take the time to read through this booklet to learn more about the state of our local economy and the success of many of our local colleagues throughout 2022. I may not be Greek, but I'm the second best thing being Ukrainian. So I want to just, pinch hit, and in keeping with today's afternoon ball game, I guess I'm the left-hander from the bullpen. So, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Mayor Sandra Easton to the stage to deliver the 2023 Mayor's State of the Town Address.
When I heard that JD was going to be introducing me, I thought, When I read that it was supposed to be the CAO, I thought, this is a big conflict of interest. We're going to be doing his evaluation pretty soon. I'm going to be very interested to hear what he has to say about me. Anyway, that was very good, Mike. Good step to the side, and well done, JD. Thank you. JD is the longest serving. Now, truly, right? Yes. Longest serving councillor in the town of Lincoln. Well, pretty important. Well, good afternoon, everyone. And I just can't believe what a wonderful day this has turned out to be. It was the last few weeks have been a little bit edgy, and I am tired of all that cold. I don't know about you. But we're back here at Rockaway, and Mary, Michael, thank you. You've really gone over the top. The lunch was beautiful, and everything here is just so refreshed. It's really a delight to be here. Thank you very much. I know that we've had some introductions, but I have a few more to add. And I want to acknowledge Councillor Diana Hewson, Regional Councillor from Pelham. Diana Hewson. Welcome, Diana. Thank you. And School Board Trustee Elizabeth Klassen. Elizabeth, thank you very much for attending today. And for her first event out, Mayor Cheryl Guidon of West Lincoln. Thank you. Cheryl, don't pick up any of my bad habits. But I see you're sitting beside David, so he'll have all kinds of stories to tell you about Mayor Easton. Niagara Peninsula Energy. I sat on the board for a number of years, enjoyed every moment of it. Extremely progressive organization within the region of Niagara. Thank you very much for your support and your sponsorship again. And I'm very pleased that counselors who aren't working full-time or don't have the flexibility to control their schedules are here today. I don't know how Councillor Reimer got here, but he's pretty tied up. In fact, where's Frank? Are you doing any work at Prudham's? Not yet? Not today? Oh, I thought for sure they'd have you tied up. Great. So we also have Councillor Lynn Timmers from Ward 4, as well as Councillor Greg Reimer. You met Councillor J.D. Pachariva, and I think that is it for those that were able to attend today. But I want to shine some light on Chair Bradley of the region of Niagara. We were at his event a few weeks ago. Chair Bradley, it was an inspiring speech, and we're not going to take his word away because he speaks now in terms of possibilities. I think that's a Jim phrase, and we're going to hang on to it because it's very descriptive and very appropriate for the way things are growing in the region at this time. Regional Councillor for Lincoln, Rob Foster. Thank you, Rob. I want to specifically thank you for all that you do to keep the wheels greased at the region. It's all about due diligence, that's all. Thanks a lot, Rob. And Michael Zweep is here. He's actually Sam Oosterhoff today. And Michael looks after all of us. When we're going to events, he's always looking out for us, always making sure that we've got what we need. So this is for you, Michael, because Sam's not here. Thank you very much. Appreciate it very much. And I don't see CAO Ron Tripp at the moment, but he was here earlier, and certainly thank him very much for turning out. I also wish to thank all the staff from the town. The work that gets done here comes from a vision that starts with the council and their policy decisions. But I think anybody who's running a business knows if you don't have leadership within your organization, those ideas, those visions are just going to fall on the ground and they're not going to go anywhere. And we're very, very proud of the work that our staff do and their presentation to the public and the support they provide for all businesses and individual citizens. It's hard to believe that we're almost halfway through the first year of this new term of council. And we have been working very hard as a council. We have so much education in those first few months. But if you miss that, you're really on the back foot, and you don't want that. You want to be ahead. You want to be analyzing what it is that's going on around you and be prepared and ready to carry on with your agenda. The Lincoln community is growing, it's advancing, and it's shining in the heart of Niagara. A growing and changing community presents many opportunities, but it also brings many challenges. The Lincoln community is really, I would say, has more opportunities than challenges. And I think that's because we have a plan to deal with the challenges that we know that are out there, and we try to prepare in advance. Significant progress does not happen by accident. It takes strong leadership, deliberate planning, and extensive consultation to ensure that we are doing what is right for the community. And when I speak of leadership, I'm not talking about my leadership or the council's leadership exclusively or the leadership from the staff. I'm talking about the leadership that comes up out of the community. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that because I am so, in some ways, I am totally relieved that this is starting to happen at a faster pace. It is going to be in all of our best interests. Here's something for you. These aren't my words, but I like this so much. It really, I think, describes what we're doing. What got you here won't get you there. The same set of circumstances, beliefs, and actions that got you to a moment won't get you to what comes next. And if you want a different outcome, you have to behave differently. You have to keep evolving. So just embed that up here, because I believe this to be 150% true. And I think that it does have a bearing on the great success that we've had in Lincoln. Today I want to talk about how, as a municipal government, we are, number one, rising to the leadership challenge to create healthy communities. Two, bringing hope and opportunity to young people, the disadvantaged, and the rising stars. And collaborating to make a bright and prosperous future for Lincoln. I'm just going to turn this a little bit because I can't see these people over here. We've come a long way and there's lots to do. And I see 2023 as a springboard for even greater things to come. In 2018, Council developed a set of priorities in a document that was titled Strategic Planning for a Future Fit Lincoln. Now, I want to be absolutely clear. The town of Lincoln has had a strategic planning exercise and documents for years. How many years, Rob? Here's a test. 20? Yeah, 20 years. So we're not doing something that's unusual. Everyone in the community should be very attuned to this. It happens every 4 years. Our vision at the moment of being welcome, connected, vibrant, and a resilient community led us to the future fit expression. And it's one that benefits all members of our community. From newly arrived residents to families that have been living in Lincoln for generations, from the fledgling startup to the century-old multi-generational business. A business like Moyer Apples. We have them all, and we care about them all. We prioritize the completing of our work plan, and in it, you'll see all the priorities of that complete work plan outlined. And I'm not sure where those are. Dave Graham, what did you do with that pile? Did you bring those with you? Okay, they're here. So maybe someone will start passing them out at some point, because if you want to know what's going on, not only do we have the work plan for the town of Lincoln, we have the work plan for the region of Niagara working with the town of Lincoln. It's a very, very interesting document, and we've been doing this for some time. We would like to say that in Lincoln that we are leading the charge in Niagara in planning for our future. That's not true. There's lots of people that are planning for the future. I just happen to like what we're doing, and it's working. So we'll just take that for what it is. And anyway, I happen to know that when Jim Bradley gives up a Blue Jays game to come here to the mayor's luncheon, pretty important. Communication and engagement with the community is the core of what we do. Without this two-way loop, we're driving in the dark without headlights. And we provide many opportunities for public engagement to inform our processes and decisions. Every decision is based on our fundamental role, which is to create a healthy community and that benefits residents, businesses, and visitors. Part of being a healthy community means being open to fresh ideas and new perspectives, being a place where residents and business owners participate fully and where government is open and transparent. Ensuring that council decisions leave room for as much citizen input is required, while staying true to regulations that govern municipalities. I want to think about this just for a moment. There are a number of regulations that are coming to us from the province. And I can tell you, they're not going to take any truck with municipalities coming up with a plethora of reasons why things aren't going to get done. They're done with that. They've watched us mingle around, not move as quickly as we should have in regard to the planning for more housing. And they've now said, if you can't do it, we'll help you with this. And this is what it looks like. So we have constituents that are not happy about this. And there are also communities that are spending all kinds of money, have spent all kinds of money on trips to the Ontario Land Tribunal. Lincoln did not do that. If we're going to stand up and tell you that we are honest and forthright in the way we do business, then we need to do that. Doesn't mean that we don't have extensive conversations with you. Doesn't mean that we spend a lot of time with developers trying to get them to move in one way or another. But it does mean that the regulations have to be paid attention to, and that is what we intend to do. Part of being a healthy community does mean being open to fresh ideas and new perspectives. In 2022, I think you'll recall that we leveraged many opportunities for both in-person and digital engagement. But this is much more superior, to be able to talk to people personally. I mean, there was a time when we would see Johanna and Mr. Fracchione in the town council chambers 3 times a week. They were coming to find out that they were checking us out. Do you remember that, JD? Do you remember that, Greg? You weren't there then, but Lynn Timmers was. And they were there checking us out, and other people have done that. They want to know, what are we thinking about? What can we expect from these people in the future? I don't know what you would have done during COVID. It would have been a big problem. But I think it tells you, when you have a serious developer in town, the extent that they will go to find out what the rules are, how you're interpreting those rules, what can they expect. We launched Lincoln.ca earlier this year. So we redesigned the website, expands our online services. It's easier to navigate, I'm told. Better showcases our vibrant community as well as the programs and services that the town has to offer. But the crown is Speak Up Lincoln. Keep saying to people, you don't have to go on social media and be abused by people that are just speaking, off the cuff, who don't really have anything serious to say. If you have a question, you go to Speak Up Lincoln. There's going to be somebody getting back to you with accurate, complete information. And if it isn't accurate and complete, you're going to have an opportunity to speak about that further and keep that conversation going. I think Speak Up Lincoln is thriving. It just features dozens of community projects. You could go there and you could have a complete story about what's been going on in Jordan Village. Any project in the town, you will find it there. If it's of significance and if there are a lot of questions being asked, there's a story. So that launched in 2021, and there's thousands of community members that have filled out surveys and shared information or asked questions. This effective communication, this community engagement are of utmost value to every citizen in Lincoln. Being informed brings peace of mind, and being heard helps people feel understood and that they belong to a collective. A crucial aspect of being connected and welcoming is to create exceptional public spaces while preserving our natural landscapes. I can't speak of this enough. I can tell you that a beautiful park, such as Angelina Prokich Park, that waited years. JD, how many years? Here's your test. 15 years, long time. There was no development in that part of Ward 2. Why? The timing wasn't right. And that park could not be built until we had development charges to do the work. And so when the time was right and that started to develop, we were able to get going with that park. And what a site it is. And I don't think we've seen the end of some of the developments and some of the amenities that will be added. In 2022, we added innovative and ecological features at Ashby Park, which is a tiny little park. Completed the town's second destination park, which is Rotary Park. And this incredible public space includes access to walking trails and sports amenities, a concrete skate park, an asphalt pump track, an accessible play area, fitness equipment, and a butterfly garden. Rotary Park was made possible by a $100,000 investment from the Rotary Club of Lincoln. And the Fleming Foundation committed $100,000 to the creation of the Val Fleming Butterfly Garden, and both the provincial and federal governments contributed $104,000 to the cost of the playground. So you can take that, thank you, Michael, back to MPP Sam. That park also received a design award through the regional's biennial awards program. We were pretty proud that night. Rotary Park is an example of great things that can happen when everyone works together. And the planning of this area took many, many years. When you think of the fact that it was the fairgrounds, and then we went through all the iterations of all the mixed housing that is in there. People were not very complimentary of that space when it was first built. But it's done now. It's been done for a while. There's quite a mix of housing. We have the Jacob, so we have a taller building, which is good. We have back-to-backs. We have single families. We have, I think the full gamut is in there. Plus the park, plus a library, plus the arena, and on it goes. It's a beautiful, complete community. People live there. People work there. People can shop close by. They can play there. There's the library, as I said. And the public art. You have to go just for the public art. It's really quite outstanding. We have made great strides in collaborating and gaining a better understanding of the Indigenous communities in Lincoln and Niagara. This progress can't be understated because there's so much work to do just to begin developing those relationships. But we continue to listen, to learn, and move forward together, always seeking to meet on common ground. Lincoln has a history of human inhabitation that dates back to at least 12,000 years. The village of Jordan is a particularly important site of Indigenous settlement in southern Ontario, with recent archaeological evidence confirming settlement by the Attawandaron, or neutrals, dating to the early circa 1600s. A neutral nation archaeological site showing evidence of multi-generational settlement sits less than 500 meters from the park in Jordan Hollow. We are working with Indigenous advisors to recognize and honor this history through the redevelopment and renaming of the park in Jordan Hollow to Soa Horizon Park. And this park will be added to the landmark sites that exist all over Niagara, featuring public art, gathering spaces, interpretive signage, trail connections. And we have been so fortunate to have the Indigenous advisors from the Niagara Regional Native Center, the Kanien'keya language specialist, an archaeologist, and an expert on the Neutral Nation and Plenty Canada. The park renaming is a public process. We're holding a public meeting on May 23rd to consider the park renaming. Visit lincoln.ca for details on how you can participate. I truly cannot wait to see the progress of this cultural hub for Lincoln with our Lincoln Museum and Cultural Center, the historical museum of the 20, I call it, at a stone's throw. Now, we talk about connected, vibrant communities, and to have connected, vibrant communities, you have to make ongoing and purposeful investments in roads and bridges, in essential infrastructure to support growth, to ensure our existing assets are in good repair. Our capital budget includes investments in transportation, in water and wastewater projects, facility upgrades and enhancements to outdoor public spaces. We're progressing well on the Jordan Village Improvement Project, which will build a connected and beautiful neighborhood that focuses on safety, on complete streets, on landscape appeal and local heritage. I've never seen a project move along as quickly as this one, even throughout the winter. It's just amazing. So for any of you who were involved in that directly or indirectly, thank you. And it's certainly enhancing the appearance of the village. There are too many projects, so many projects that I couldn't even begin to name them today. But if Dave Graham finds that booklet, the Public Works Quarterly Report, it's around here, somebody will find it. You'll be able to take it home and have your own good read. There's so much happening above ground and under the ground and behind the scenes here in Lincoln to keep everything and everyone connected, safe, and moving forward. And these are the projects that you wouldn't necessarily think of every day. They're not going to be top of your mind, but they're certainly on top of the minds of our staff. You may or may not know that the town of Lincoln value in assets is $300 million. And these assets must be kept up to date. So I just want you to think of something. If the conditions occurred in the future that the provincial government and the federal government were not able to provide municipalities with the level of grant money that they have been, and I'll talk a bit about what we've been receiving here, what will happen is, without a plan, what will happen is that our community will suffer a serious demise. Because if you think it's difficult trying to fix things and keep them up to date when you have a plan, imagine what it's like when there isn't any additional money. Because that burden comes back to the taxpayer. And so that's why we have a plan and we're sticking to it, because we know the future is a bit unsure. Prudhoms. I spoke earlier about the developers and the owners of Prudhoms. Very serious people. It's a big commitment to come to a council meeting 2 or 3 times a week. That was in 2014, 2015, 16, went on a little bit longer. And it's amusing when I tell you that they were there to check us out. They were serious about this project. They wanted it to go forward, and they wanted to make sure that we understood their intentions. Our next point of focus is going to be Vineland. I don't know whether you're aware of this or not, but Vineland, the properties on the main street of Vineland are essentially owned by one developer. Now, when Len Panichetti, who's sitting up here, he's another one. He likes to come to see what we're doing because he was sort of like, Len was one of these people that was he was paving the way for everybody else that came forward. So he is interested in how we're doing and what we're doing and what it means. So He had his own vision, and he dragged us along. In this situation, we have another entrepreneur. The town's trying to drag the entrepreneur along. And so I want to be quite clear about this because I want to see Vineland developed. And I hope that everybody that's here from Vineland will also be putting that pressure where it belongs, because that is a beautiful piece of our town. We can't allow what's happening at Prudhome's to pull out major businesses, those anchor businesses, out of the downtown of Vineland. That's going to be its own special spot down there. But if we can't get the property owner to come to the town and start talking about what needs to happen in the future, it's a bit of a challenge. And so we'll continue to speak up to the greatest extent that we can. Another thing that I want to speak briefly about has to do with your family and your contributions to the town of Lincoln, and for that matter, the region of Niagara. You have personal stories. When we speak about belonging, your belonging includes who you are, where you came from, how your family became part of this area. In the museum circles and in the circles of the archives, we call these shoebox histories. And I think it would be the most exciting project to start receiving some shoeboxes with some pictures and some stories from your families. I think they would create a wonderful booklet to add on to what we already know about our community. Despite ongoing social and economic challenges throughout Ontario and indeed the world, we are proud of our economic output and continued growth in 2022. Lincoln saw agricultural expansion and investment, greater productivity and diversity, both in advanced manufacturing and in agriculture. Confidence in the national economy is growing and interest rates are leveling. And this is excellent news from a macroeconomic level. And we're also seeing and feeling greater optimism in our local economy. Lincoln is a community on the rise. I want to thank Chair Bradley for his personal interest and energy that he has put behind the agricultural irrigation project. It is something that's going to be very important to the community, to all of our communities, and I fear without his intervention that we might not be seeing the level of energy that exists with that right now. So thank you, Chair Bradley. I know that agriculture is one of your major interests. In 2022, we saw several exciting new craft beverage and culinary businesses open their doors. Durkin Systems in Beamsville's Industrial Park is undergoing a major addition, and the first phase of the Bartlett Road Industrial Mall, which Councillor Patriva spoke to. These are valuable investments in Lincoln and show how diversified our local economy has become. To all the businesses in Lincoln, I want to welcome you here today. To our entire business community, we are grateful for your continued confidence in our community. And council and staff, as I've alluded before, are here to support you through the various phases of your business growth. New investors tell us that they have confidence in our community, knowing that there is always a return on investment when they do work in Lincoln. And part of this is due to a strong government relations program, which remains a top priority for the town. With the help of our ongoing advocacy and strong relationships with upper levels of government, we've been able to deliver valuable targeted programs across all key sectors in our economy to provide consistent support and funding for businesses. I want to speak to you about some of the requests that we made at the Rural Ontario Municipal Association annual conference. Staff and several council members attended with me, and We participated in 4 delegations with provincial ministers and MPPs to discuss key priorities and programs to help realize the town's vision of sustainable economic growth, supported by investments in infrastructure and other important community-focused projects. Now, before Sam Oosterhoff came around, you would go to these meetings, and when it was your turn, you went in. The best way to describe it is I think it's very medieval, this whole business of delegations. You stand out in the corridor, you walk up to this lady, you tell her who you are, and then you stand there and you pull at your forelock until it's your turn to go in. Sometimes they're pretty efficient, so you don't have to bring food with you, you don't have to house your animals, but it's about as medieval as it gets. So our requests included support for Youth Skills Studio, the funding for the revisioning of the Rittenhouse Library in Vineland, and increased funding for the Lincoln Museum and Cultural Center and for sports and recreation programs. And we're grateful for the investments in the Lincoln community that have been received to date for both federal and provincial governments, approximately 60 million in the last term of council. And let me explain to you what this means to Lincoln. And I'm sure that Mayor Ganem will tell you that when you go on these trips, when you go on these delegations, you're never alone. First of all, Sam Oosterhoff has been driving them crazy for 2 weeks ahead of time, talking about his constituents and who's coming. Then he meets you on that day. He almost never misses. He throws out the red carpet, introduces us all, stays just long enough for us to get engaged with the minister and the minister's staff, and then he slips out. But he's always there to make sure that we are treated like royalty. Not bad. Not bad. So in the last term of council, Lincoln received $60 million. And let me tell you what this means. So all the funding that we received is an investment in the community. Doesn't go into operations. This is project related. It means accessible, exclusive public spaces that we can work on those sooner. It leads to happier, healthier people. It means increased public safety and greener, cleaner spaces. It supports the environment and mitigating the effects of climate change. It means more opportunities for children and youth to participate fully in society. And it means supports for businesses to reach more customers and to serve them better, strengthening our local economy. $60 million, that's a huge amount of money. I can't tell you the work that went into achieving that amount. It means that our community is prosperous. It means that it's thriving and healthy. And it also means that these are not tax dollars. So that's a pretty important part of this. If you want to do a lot of work and you want to be known for getting work done, and you can find that money from other places besides going to the taxpayers, I would say that's a pretty ideal situation. We cannot mention growth and development without addressing sustainability. The town of Lincoln is taking steps to protect the natural environment through lakeshore protection, through electric vehicle charging stations, the tree canopy research project that we're programmed, and the watering and mature tree stabilization system that we're involved with Dr. Darby from VBRIC. So thank you very much, Dr. Potter. Thank you, Darby. And we are really looking forward to the results of all of this work. And I think we're going to be testing it first in Jordan Village. Yes? Yeah, I think that's part of our project there. The town of Lincoln is committed to creating a sustainable future and to mitigating and adapting to the impacts of climate change. And I noticed that there was a document that was hot off the press this week. How can I best describe to you what your commitment should be as a business? Well, the town was not leaving it to happenstance. They've actually created a publication. They've done some testing. They went out and met with businesses and said, how can I get your attention on climate change? And so this document is very tangible. It's very clear that it means more than what's happening with the weather. and it provides some pretty important and well thought out and explained elements so that you can actually apply it. I do sit on some external committees, and I co-chair a binational commission on shoreline erosion with a mayor from Minnesota. And this is through the mayor's Great Lakes and St. Lawrence Basin entity. And so there are mayors from all, on the American side, mayors on the Canadian side, from Quebec right down to Fort Erie. Tourism and hospitality. You can't get through a day in Lincoln without talking about tourism and hospitality. They just won't let you. You'd think it was the most important thing that we had to talk about. Where's Paul? Paul's left the room. However, this is, it's pretty important. It is Lincoln's greatest opportunity, along with value-added agriculture. It's our greatest opportunity for economic growth and job creation. We continue to work on our tourism strategy and action plan to attract tourism investment, strengthen the local economy, and create jobs. Our new tourism and identity brand, Niagara Benchlands, brings the town of Lincoln to life by seeking inspiration from our unique culture, our cuisine, technology, architecture, natural heritage, and art. The brand was adopted over a year ago, and it's made quite a splash with residents, local businesses, and visitors alike. And a key priority in 2023 is to redevelop our destination marketing organization to support tourism marketing for the Niagara Benchlands and place the Benchlands on the world map as a premier destination. And we will continue to work with our partners in St. Catharines and further develop our tourism partnership by forming this new DMO together to capitalize on the natural synergies between our two destinations. If we build it, Brittany, will they come? Well, you told me only if we shout from the rooftops about our one-of-a-kind destination, so I'm going with that. And that's why the development of the DMO is a crucial piece in this puzzle. Another important goal this year is to update our wayfinding signage to further entrench the Benchlands brand and promote our local tourism destination. And again this year, we will promote the $25,000 Niagara Benchlands Destination Development Fund, which supports Lincoln's tourism-based businesses and organizations. This was launched in 2022. It boosted 6 projects, including festivals and visitor guides and garden tours. Eligible projects are new and expansion-driven projects, encouraging local tourism businesses to collaborate and foster innovation and create tourism products and events that have a measurable impact on Lincoln's tourism economy. Tourism is not a nice to have in Lincoln. Tourism drives our local economy. And through this continued investment, our economy will grow exponentially. Our local tourism industry is just budding. And I think of how much work had to go into getting just the bud. It has been years of dedicated work. And now we're sowing the seeds to promote a destination like no other. It is our responsibility as a municipality to give wings to this immense opportunity before us. I want to speak to you about support for business, about job seekers and youth. For businesses in all sectors, having adequate high-speed internet access is integral to helping deliver products and services. To better understand needs and assess internet connectivity across the town, we launched a public engagement process that included a survey for businesses and residents. Some of the key challenges we heard were a lack of rural broadband, slow internet speed, unequal speeds, Depending on the location, it was better or worse. The town is working with several internet service providers to provide more choice for Lincoln consumers. This is vital to the success of local businesses and to meet the needs of every resident in Lincoln. The staff recently secured a historic $17 million investment in broadband service when Bell announced the expansion of pure fiber internet service to homes and businesses in the town of Lincoln, which will bring all fiber broadband access to approximately 7,000 more homes and businesses by 2024. And this is just the first announcement of several to come. And this is just the Bell announcement. So town staff working with Bell and continuing to do so with other internet service providers will not only identify the need, but expedite the permitting process in order for these companies to install the new infrastructure. We also recognize the importance of digital innovation for business success. If you want to talk about impacts to small business, let me touch upon the success of the Digital Main Street program in Lincoln. We secured a Digital Main Street grant of $93,000 to deliver the Digital Service Squad. And this program helps local businesses enhance their online capabilities. This is our fourth consecutive Digital Service Squad. There's actually people in here in this squad. It's not done just digitally. There's people that go out to businesses and talk to them about their needs are. And the first thing they hear is, I don't have time to do this. I can barely keep heaven and earth together. And so that money then allows them, it's a $2,500 grant per business to help them grow their businesses online. And I've heard some remarkable stories about how effective this squad is. So they've helped develop businesses in Lincoln to develop a Google My Business profile, enhance their social media presence, provide support for basic website and e-commerce setup, and to apply for the Digital Transformation Grant, which includes an online assessment, online training modules, and the development of a digital transformation plan. So to date, Lincoln's businesses have received approximately $205,000 in support from the Digital Main Street Initiative. And when we talk about successful grant programs that demonstrate return on investment, this is what we're talking about. We're prioritizing our youth and preparing them for a bright future here in Lincoln, in Niagara, and they deserve it. And we, the local government, see the value in training and higher education to help them reach their career goals. At the same time, we recognize the benefits of retaining and attracting young talent for the local economy. And you've heard me say this before. Well, we talk about how we want students to stay here. We don't want them to go away permanently. We want them to come back, continue to live in the town, have their families here. And then what do? Nothing. We do absolutely nothing. And so I must give the credit where it's due. The staff understood this, and they started working with some master's degree students. The students are the one that developed the program, and they're the ones that essentially take charge of it. Sure, they have guidance, but I don't know where else something like this would even happen. Minister McNaughton told me that, and I've told you this story, that they've been giving out millions and millions of dollars, and there isn't another community in Ontario that has developed that program and has used that money in the way in which it's been used in Lincoln. And there were 350 youth, but it's not just Lincoln youth. Because of the way this is structured, it involves all of Niagara. And so those opportunities are there in the 12 municipalities. Our Work in Lincoln program is in partnership with the Employment Help Center. Is there anyone here today from the Employment Help? Oh, thank you so much. And thank you for the work that you've done with us on the job fair. That's a great partnership. So we are, of course, trying to retain local talent, and we're trying to fill the labor shortages. And again, we have to thank Sam. We applied for and received a $58,000 Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs Rural Economic Development Grant, the RED grant, for the development of the program, along with $10,000 with Niagara Region's Economic Development Team. So thank you, Chair Bradley. Both council and staff were overwhelmed by the positive response to the first job fair. Was held earlier this month. It was a partnership with the Employment Health Center. And 450 job seekers and 40 employers in attendance. So you didn't just come from Lincoln. Again, people from Niagara could attend as well. Comments we heard from many tell the story of appreciation, of excitement, and of optimism. So just envision this. You're a young kid. Maybe it's the first year that you're going to work. So your mother says you have to go to the job fair. You have to have a job. So get out there. There's a job for you. We saw people come unsure, a little anxious, leaving with hope and positivity. I've been told that some of them were jumping up in the air with a piece of paper in their hand saying, "I got a job." I thought that was amazing. I mean, imagine. What job fairs do you go to where you actually fill out the paper, get the interview, and get hired in the same hour and a half or whatever it was? Maybe it's not that easy. My point is a little bit of effort, a little bit of planning, a little bit of consideration for what's going on in your community can produce exponential results. And now, if you didn't get to that job fair, if you go to workinlincoln.ca, employers are submitting job postings and job seekers can continue to apply. So it wasn't just a one-shot wonder. Partnerships and shared services. I'm going to leave this for the moment because there is a question that I've been asked to respond to about shared services. So I'm going to just hang on to those notes. I'm going to speak briefly about the budget, and then I'm going to be done. This year's budget approval was accompanied by a motion to further explore and create more shared services, and I thank the council for supporting that. And to do that with other municipalities in Niagara, to allow us to find efficiencies while leading the way in service delivery. The budget included close to $50 million for capital projects in the areas of transportation, safety, and the environment, social infrastructure, and corporate initiatives. This year's chair of the Budget Committee was Councillor Greg Reimer, and his co-chair, the vice chair, Adam Russell from Ward 1. They did a superb job. Now, $50 million is higher than we would normally have, but we're also dealing with inflation. So it's a bit, you have to put it into perspective. I also want to let you know that of that $50 million, 1.2% of it will be going to the West Niagara Hospital. So that's all included in there. And the $50 million also includes the spending of development charges, which are not paid for by taxpayers, but it is money that's paid for by the development sector to cover the cost of growth. So if you want to know more about that and what that whole formula looks like, it's probably a good idea to come make an appointment and come to the town hall. Being a welcoming, engaging, vibrant, and resilient community is supported by investment. And when we approve a budget, we are supporting these goals. Keep in mind that municipalities are confronted with the same inflationary pressures as you are in your businesses and in your homes. But some look at budgets only as spending. We see this as capturing revenue. $60 million in grant funding in the last term of council is pretty remarkable. As I said to you before, it's a message that we're serious about getting work done. and ensuring that you're not paying for it directly. Bill 23. If you don't know very much about Bill 23, it is becoming a bit of an albatross. Michael, you can take that back to the source. It is becoming a bit of an albatross. It's heavy, heavy weight. I sit on an AMO committee now, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. It's a committee that's been struck. I was invited to sit on it. Commissioner Sergi from the Niagara region is also sitting on this committee. And it's our job to provide feedback to the minister and to the provincial government about the impact of the changes that have been made to the legislation. And I believe I'm correct in saying that there have been at least 8 major changes to planning documents, existing policy, and they've added new policy. We haven't increased our staff, and I don't know of anybody that has increased their staff in response to this. There just are no planners. There's no way to increase it, but the expectations have been set, and we have to meet the deadlines. It's going to be quite an interesting challenge. Citizens have become more engaged in local government. Public agencies have had to balance community demands with resource constraints and essential service provision. And we meet these challenges by holding at the forefront what the entire community wants and what is best for the collective Lincoln population. We are here to listen and engage with the community and welcome the opportunity for open and honest dialogue. I want to thank you for attending today, for engaging in conversation with your colleagues, with the people that you had never met before. There's a lot of exciting things here. And David O'Brien will tell you, I always have a lot to say. Thank you. I just want to finish by making a little statement. I think Councillor Patrieva calls it my soliloquy. It goes like this. You live in Lincoln, a community of encouragement, where every citizen strives to be a good neighbor, where children and youth are encouraged to achieve their very best, where business contributes to growth and the sustainability of our community vision as a place to grow, a place to prosper, a place to belong. Thank you.
We want to say thank you to Mayor Easton for that State of the Town address. We do have just a few minutes. We want to respect her time and your time today, but there were some questions, and actually, Mayor Easton, you alluded to the first one that was submitted by one of our members, which is, the Town of Lincoln is partnered with the Town of Grimsby in respect to fire services, the Town of Pelham for library services, the City of St. Catharines for tourism marketing. Are there other partnering opportunities that the town is considering? And can you speak to the value and the benefit of those partnerships?
Before I knew that I was going to be acclaimed in the last election, I sent a message out to my mayoral colleagues from Grimsby and West Lincoln to tell them that my campaign was going to be based on shared services and what those plans were going to look like in the future. I believe that the relationships that we've developed, even beyond bulk buying, which has gone on for years, really needed a lot of deliberate action, that we needed to get serious about it. But I want to be sensitive to the fact that when we start talking about shared services, we are talking about people's jobs. So I'm going to speak broadly about this. The first thing that I would say to you is that, first of all, you need to understand I am very committed to this. And I believe that we can do much better by our communities if we stop doing things the same way we do them year after year after year. And there should be no sacred cows. We should be putting everything on the table. As long as we maintain our individual ideas, instead of streamlining, costs will soar. Keep in mind, there isn't one study that's been done on amalgamation that proves that money can be saved. It's not true. What we do need to pay attention to is the fact that there's a finite number of specialist staff available to do the work that needs to be done. So if we're going to lead into the future, we're going to need planners. And now you couldn't hire a planner to save your life. It wouldn't make any difference how big that envelope was in your pocket. They just don't exist. Finance, very, very difficult. And so my belief is that as jobs come available in municipalities, that once you've set an agenda with one or two other communities, doesn't just have to be one other, it can be more, but you've got to find good partners, people that are also willing. I really think that you can start painlessly by looking at what's vacant and how you're going to replace those people. So why not replace them so that they cover 2 municipalities? It doesn't mean that you don't need somebody running things at the local level. You do. But I think that there's a lot of work that can be done, and I'm going to continue to lead in that direction.
I should have identified when I first stood up here. My name is Don Rose, and I serve on the Government Relations and Advocacy Committee with the Chamber of Commerce. So we solicited our members, many of you who are here today for these questions. We just have one other, which I think you addressed somewhat within your State of the Town, and that is that Lincoln is one of the fastest growing municipalities in the Niagara region, and the growth has led to, I think, what some people see as positive growth, but that many are concerned about with regard to urban sprawl, appropriate infrastructure, and loss of green spaces. For those people, in a short way, what would you say to give them assurance that this is positive and that we're prepared for this rapid growth?
Well, I believe it is very positive. The fact is that you can't, and I think the number the CAO gives me is that unless you're prepared to go out of your town on Saturday morning to do all of your shopping at a big box store, we need to make sure that we have a population to support good enterprises in our community. And so I believe that having growth achieves that. If you need 2,000 people to have to support a corner store, that's quite a number of homes, isn't it? So you can do nothing, and then your community will essentially die around you. It'll satisfy the needs of some, but it won't satisfy the needs of the whole population. So I worry a bit about the fact that there are people that don't want the community to be more diverse. I'm very concerned about that, and it doesn't sit well with me. But at the same time, I'm very comforted to know that we have strong community members that are moving against this. And they're actively reinforcing the narrative about diversity in terms of the culture and religious diversity, the gender equity, the ageism, the truth and reconciliation. And I want to congratulate them because this cannot be done by government alone. We can make certain decisions that will bring more people into the community. We can make decisions that creates a variety of housing types for people. But we can't fight every battle on the ground. And so when I know that Trinity Church has a big announcement that they're going to be making soon around the transformation of the church in terms of equity, when I know that the Lincoln Rotary Club are working on their own examination, partly from some information that came from Trinity, on who the community is, what's going on in the community, what are the priorities, I feel relieved to know that we're not having to do this on our own. We can take a strong position. We can continue to make the decisions according to the regulations. We can encourage developers to do what needs to be done to help us with that. And I'm very confident that with that kind of community support and that expectation set at the community level, that the ills that come along with growth will be addressed in due time.
Thank you. On behalf of the Chamber, we are very grateful to Mayor Easton for your words, for your time today. We appreciate your willingness to support, to speak to, and to promote businesses in our town. We also want, as a Chamber, to say thank you to the town staff, to the councilors, to other dignitaries who are here who advocate on behalf of the citizens of our community. Thank you to all of you who came today. We're glad that we pretty much were able to fill up this space. It tells you that you care about the town that we live in. Thank you to Rockaway Vineyards for providing an excellent meal, beautiful space. One of the core values and benefits of a Chamber of Commerce is advocacy. And this event is one, and others that are like it are organized by the Government Relations and Advocacy Committee of the Chamber to identify issues of importance to local business communities, to work to develop initiatives, to present to political decision makers, and to draw on the support and the advice of the highly respected Ontario and Canadian Chambers of Commerce. So there are a couple of initiatives with regard to advocacy we want to highlight for you today. The Lincoln Chamber of Commerce is attending the Ontario Chamber of Commerce's annual general meeting and convention this coming weekend. And at the provincial level, we have the privilege to highlight key challenges and opportunities facing businesses here in Lincoln. And we have two policies that we are bringing forward, and we ask you to stay tuned for a press release next week on the outcome of those policy proposals. This past April 6th, the Lincoln Chamber of Commerce hosted the first of what it hopes to be many intimate roundtable sessions offered throughout the year. These smaller conversations allow businesses and business leaders to focus on a specific issue and have open dialogue about it face-to-face with government officials. So please, again, pay attention and keep your eyes open to opportunities later this year to attend one of our roundtables. On this note, if we are to best serve and advocate on behalf of you and the businesses in our community, I encourage you to use our business advocacy form on our website, which you can also access on the tables. There's what looks like a little business card with a QR code. You can use your mobile device. That will take you right to that business advocacy form on our website. And that form is to be used for a variety of things, to identify your issues of concern, to solicit advice, to get aid in navigating processes with any level of government, to provide a suggestion on a particular issue or a specific government representative for one of our roundtable sessions, or just to give some constructive feedback on events like today. I hope that you'll consider using that. One last order of business, and our business is concluded this afternoon. Thank you again to MPEI for sponsoring the event with the lovely table arrangements at each table. And at your table, the person who has the birthday that is closest to today's date can take home those beautiful orchids. We're very grateful again for all of you being here today. We hope to see you all again soon. Have a wonderful day.